So our second training stage is going to be the customer service and conflict resolution. This is a really important stage for us, especially for training the bar and the front of house team, because it's important to know how to handle ourselves professionally when we are under pressure. As we know, every single patron has the right to complain and to give suggestions to us, but we can also make sure that these complaints are given to us in a respectful way. We are going to make sure that all of our employees, whether they are managers or supervisors or just casual employees, they need to know how to handle conflict resolution, and they need to know how to always handle themselves in a way that keeps them safe and keeps the patrons safe. For example, if a patron is intoxicated and they have become a hazard to other patrons, we must know how to address the situation. For example, if a patron is too intoxicated, we can always offer them a ride home or offer them drinks of water to help them calm down to a calmer state. This is really important for all the work health and safety in our environment right now. Um, the objective of this stage is, as I've mentioned before, we are going to teach strategies to de escalate conflict and always come to a respectful and safe way to handle these conflicts. Whether they arise or not, we always need to make sure that we are able to handle it professionally. The performance monitoring method is going to be manager observations of how the other staff are going to handle these situations, to give advice on how to de escalate, to always ask our staff if they feel that they are losing control of the situation or if it's escalating, to always come to a supervisor and to come to the required managers or staff to handle the situation. Um, the feedback method for this training stage is always to make shift evaluations and always be aware of our environment and see if any situation could potentially escalate, to make sure that our staff is 100% prepared to deal with these situations. And the third training stage that is really relevant for our staff, whether they're bar staff or front of house staff, is to make sure that fire evacuation and workplace safety is always known. As we know, we are a venue that handles circus acts that may contain fire or smoke, and or uh, lights that might cause epilepsy to patrons. So we also need to know and make sure that that staff are trained on the fire exits and the emergency exits at all times. The objective of these is to make sure that everybody knows what to do in case of an emergency, in case of a fire, how to dial 000, when to dial 000, or when to deactivate or activate fire alarms. The way of the performance monitoring method is to always make sure that we practice fire drills, where in our venue there are 2 stories, so we're always going to make sure that there's somebody who's taking care of checking that there's no patrons on the bathrooms. There's going to be people guiding other patrons out of the venue in a safely manner. There's going to be the supervisors who check that everything that is flammable is taken outside. And we're also going to make sure that on these drills we also know how to manage and how to use fire extinguishers that are available on every single level of the venue. The feedback method is going to be a post-drill review where we log what could go better, what went wrong, and also ways to improve our way of evacuating in a safely manner. These are now the supervisor and manager's performance management and training bullet points. This is really important that our managers have knowledge of RSA compliance, risk assessment plans, fire evacuation processes, workplace safety, and first aid medical emergency training. So on this grid, I have the training stages of the supervisors and managers and their performance feedback and method. So same as the previous for the employees, our managers must know RSA compliance and leadership training. However, the managers and the supervisors must be a resource for employees to come to them and teach and learn and know exactly what's going on. They have to ensure that the alcohol service follows the Liquor Act, and they also have to know how to handle these situations in a way that is compliant to the law and to the RSAs. We're going to make sure that there are one-on-one reviews with bar managers, and to give them feedback about how to take better care of the situations in case they arise. As well as the fire evacuation and work health and safety, supervisors need to know the fire procedures and the evacuation procedures. They need to know exactly where to lead the staff and how to build up the team in case of an emergency. We have checkpoints that are relevant for supervisors and for staff in case of an emergency. So the supervisors must know at any given time where to put these staff and how to handle the situation in case of an emergency. And also, it's really important for our supervisors to have first aid and medical emergency response training, just in case of any of our staff or any patient needs first aid immediately. We have to have people who are trained on this, because this is really important for our safety. If a person who is having a cardiac arrest, or if a staff member is having faints or feels like they are not feeling well, and there are maybe other type of accidents, like somebody cuts their hand or somebody has a really major wound because of broken glass, we have to have somebody on site that knows how to help with the first aid and medical emergency response before the medical assistance comes by, because this could be a life-saving situation, like acting. So we want to make sure that all supervisors are equipped with life-saving first aid skills to assist any patient or any staff, and we also want to ensure that they are confident with they're confident with the first aid certificates, that this is going to obviously fall into the workplace code of practice in Queensland, which is mandatory to have a person who knows first aid in the workplace. And we're also going to perform monitoring methods such as first aid practical assessments that are going to be CPR, bandaging, emergency response. That this is going to be kind of like a proof test to make sure that everybody is ready with their certificate. And also for the feedback method, it's going to be a practical scenario based on the feedback from the first aid instructor and emergency drills. So we're going to get an instructor on site to help us build a scenario in which we are going to require first aid, to make sure that our supervisors and our managers are fully trained and capable of responding to these issues without having to panic or enter in a shock state. So why is it important to know that this is a learning environment and a learning organization? As we know, there's always room for improvement in an organization, and that's why we are going to mention the characteristics of a learning organization, which is Western Electric. We can always make sure that there's continuous learning and knowledge is shared, so that our employees who are senior employees or supervisors can always make sure that they are giving the right training to newcomers. They are also always very aware of giving the proper, adequate training. We have to be an adaptable and innovative space where we learn and grow together. As a new venue and entertainment place, we also always have to be creative, and we always welcome new ways of solving issues as long as they are compliant with the law and with the procedures that need to be held in place. Um, we always encourage dialogue and inquiries. We always encourage employee empowerment, which means that on these training procedures, we are not going to become an authoritarian organization, but we are going to be open to a horizontal level of communication where the employees can feel confident to come to us and ask us questions. Or if the employee feels like we are lacking on the compliance of any laws, they can always raise awareness to us to make sure that we're always being compliant and always following the guidelines that are necessary to have a venue like this open in Queensland. We are also going to be very, very strong on leadership. We want our leaders to make sure that they are strong and they are also a guide to people who are working or to the staff who feel insecure about compliances. We're always going to make sure that our leaders are very strong in knowledge and based on the compliance of the law. And this is all of our training program for today. If you have any questions, please make sure you give me an answer before we present this training program to the people at Western Electric. Thank you so much.